Hello everyone, welcome to ARU's Clearing Podcast. You're with me, Megan, and you're with
Emma.
And I work for Anglia, Ruskin, and Emma here is a student at the moment. And we're going to talk about clearing, the process, what happens and what to expect. So Emma, you're here with me today because you came through clearing, didn't you? Do you want to tell me a bit more about that?
So I'm in my third year now, so I'm on placement at the moment doing a business and human resource management course. But I came through clearing quite late on. So I started a degree at another university and then changed my mind. I didn't like it. I wanted to swap. So came through clearing and joined ARU.
Okay, so did you find the process of clearing difficult or was it quite easy? Was it stressful? What was your first sort of reaction to the concept of clearing?
I think clearing is actually a really good idea because it kind of opens you up to loads more universities and courses that you might not have even thought of. So I know when I first looked, I didn't really even see ARU. But then when I went through clearing and I was having another look at everything, I found ARU and thought, wow, I really like the look of this place.
Okay.
I think it was quite scary initially, like picking up the phone and ringing someone to be like, will you take me, please? That was quite scary. But then as soon as the lady answered, I was like, why was I so scared? Because she was just so nice. And I was like, it just made me more excited to want to come and start.
So did you study at your previous university? Were you already studying business and HR, or was it a completely change of course as well as university? Or
yeah, it was a complete change of course.
Oh, wow.
So I was studying education. So basically I was studying that and I kind of couldn't see where it was going to go. So I started looking at different jobs and then found HR and I thought, oh, this is something that I could be really interested in. So then we started looking at universities and then found ARU.
Okay, so when did you start that process? When did you know you were going to look in clearing? Was it on the results day or was it before
No,
then?
it was ages after. It was like the end of August.
Wow.
So I applied really late through clearing.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely worked out fine.
Yeah, it's worked out amazingly.
Yay.
I'm so glad I did it.
Oh, okay. So with clearing in general and ARU, where did you start? So obviously you'd made a decision, you probably didn't want to go back in September and you were thinking, I'm going to do something else. So did you start by using the website or did you go through UCAS? Or?
So I went through UCAS and it's quite a funny story because I typed in HR because at that point I got to the point where I was like, oh, this looks like something I want to study. And obviously Anglia Ruskin being an A comes up at the top. So it was the first one. So I was like, oh, let's have a look at this one.
Okay.
I'd never heard of the uni before because I'm not from anywhere near here. But obviously it came up at the top. So I had a good look through the website and thought, wow, I really like the look of this. But I was like, right, go back onto UCAS, have a look at some more. And then every other one I looked at, I thought, oh, it's just not quite as good as that top one.
Oh.
So luckily it came up at the top.
Yeah.
But it did kind of turn out that every other one I looked at, I thought, no, I think that is the right one for me.
Okay. So you said you did the phone call application. Yeah. Do you want to talk a bit about that? Because I think that causes a bit of anxiety in some people, the thought of making a phone call. And like you said, you felt a little bit like you were saying, please take me.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a scary thing for some people to do. Where did you start and how did it go?
So I started by kind of getting out everything I needed. So I had like my GCSE results, my A-level results, because I thought as soon as I get on that phone, I'm going to completely forget what I've studied for the past like however many years of my life.
And everything.
What my name is, my date of birth, everything. So I thought, right, get it all out.
Yeah.
And it's all in front of me. I said to my mum, right, I'm going to make the phone call now. Please don't disturb me. Shut my bedroom door. I was like, right, okay, rang. And then obviously she talks you through all the details. And it is quite daunting because you have to give all of your details before they can say yes or no.
Okay.
So it's a little bit like, I don't know, an audition for something where you do the audition and then the judges give you feedback.
Yeah.
It feels a bit daunting. You're kind of like...
So do you hear on the phone
if
you've got a place or not there and then?
Yeah, so I gave her all my A-level results and then she said, we'd love to offer you a place and you'll be starting in September.
Oh,
which
wow. Great. Okay. So what was the next step then? Do you hang up the phone or do you have to speak to somebody else? Do you have to provide your GCSE results and everything?
Yeah,
prove it?
I had to send mine through because I had been to another university before, so I wasn't in the UCAS process that time round.
Of course, okay.
So I had to send through a scan of my results just to prove that I did have them because UCAS didn't have a record of them. Mm-hmm. And then after the phone call, I asked to speak to accommodation. because I hadn't got any of that sorted. That was a bit of a stress. I was like, where am I going to live?
Yeah.
But then I spoke to the accommodation team and they gave me some different options of what I could go for. And then from that, I arranged a day to come down to Cambridge to have a proper look round because, like I said, I'd never been here before, never really seen it.
Okay, so you came here having never seen the campus?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Quite scary.
So you knew it was the place for you, even though you hadn't seen it?
Yeah, it's weird. Just by looking on the website, I kind of thought, I really like the look of this place.
So it was really about the course,
was
it? So you saw the modules and things, you're like, this is the one for me.
Yeah, and then I think when I arranged that trip to Cambridge, I came, and as soon as I stepped through the doors, it just felt like home, which was such a nice feeling. I was like, good. I like it here.
Yeah.
I think it was just like an instant thing. And then I met a few different people on the day, had a look around the campus, to look at a few different rooms that were available to me, and then got everything sorted from there.
Okay, so with the accommodation, you said that it was quite late in August that you applied.
Yeah.
So what, you were starting university in 2-3 weeks?
Yeah.
And do they have space still?
Yeah.
Oh,
so they
amazing.
Offered me the first one, which was the one on campus, Swinhoe.
Yep.
But it was a shared bathroom and I really didn't want a shared bathroom. I was like, I really don't want to share with boys.
Yeah.
So I said no to that one, and then they found me another one in Anastasia House, which was where I ended up living.
Wow, and that's literally like a minute, not even a minute from university.
You could just roll out of bed straight into lectures.
Wow. So I don't know why. I thought that they would be running out of space by then, but you got spaces on campus available to you.
Yeah.
So that was really good. And you had
really
choices.
Good. Yeah.
So that's the thing. I think a lot of people think clearing is not about having a choice, but you said you saw plenty of universities and you had choices with accommodation and anything. So
yeah, it was really good.
That is really good that you had all those options. Okay. So next, you might have to speak hypothetically here because I know you've worked in the clearing call centre as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
So what would you recommend to a student who might ring up during clearing? What questions would you say are good to ask? What should you try and cover? What should you try and think about before you make that call or while you're making that call?
I think the big thing for me with ARU is that it's mostly students that answer the phones. So you can really find out about what they've done, how they've found it. And even if you ring up and you get a member of staff, you could just say to them, is there a student there I can talk to? And they can always transfer you through, which is really nice because then you can ask them how they found it, what would they recommend, what things have they learned, just those kind of questions. And students will give you very honest answers. Yeah.
So did you speak to a student then, or did you ask to?
I spoke to a member of staff actually, but she had been a student here previously.
Oh.
Yeah, so a lot of the staff in the business school were students here before.
Yeah.
So she could still give some like first-hand experience of what it's like, and kind of tell me a bit about like my first trip to Cambridge, where I should park, which is the most like horrendous experience in Cambridge is where to park.
It can be difficult.
Can be very difficult.
Yeah. Also, they gave you really good advice.
Yeah.
That's really sweet. Okay, so back to you working in the clearing call centre. What would you say is a common thing that happens, a common problem, a common hurdle, just to help people be prepared? Because everyone likes to think of worst case scenario first. So let's try and preempt that. Is there anything that comes to mind?
I think the worst thing is when someone's parent calls for them.
Okay.
And I know it's the most daunting thing and you might not want to call, but the problem is you can never give an offer to someone's parent. You need to speak to the student.
Okay.
And it's going to be the student's life. Like your parents can't make that decision for you. It's a very scary thing to pick up the phone, but for me it was the best thing I ever did.
Oh.
So yeah, don't get your mum and dad to do it.
No, you definitely don't need your mum and dad doing it for you, because it must help if a student's mum or dad rings and the mum and dad doesn't ask a question that the student might have on their mind, then they're not going to get the answers they want. So definitely call yourself. That's
definitely have like your mum or dad in the room. I think that can be quite helpful, because sometimes if your mind goes blank and you can't remember your A-level results or your GCSE results, your mum and dad probably will. Yeah. They're the kind of people that will remember what you did or what you haven't done. Or they'll be like, oh, don't forget accommodation, because sometimes when you ring ring clearing, they say, oh, is there anything else you need? And you're like, no, that's fine, I've got my offer. And then you put the phone down, you're like, where am I going to live?
Okay, so you can say on that phone call there and then, I want to talk to accommodation, and then does the accommodation call you back, or do they put you through there and then, or is there a website?
It depends how busy it is, I think. Sometimes they can try and put you through and you can speak to someone straight away, but if not, they can call you back, which is really useful.
Okay, so I know that most of the time, or all the time, the website has the aru.ac.uk/housing, so that's always running. So if you're thinking about clearing now, that's the place to check. Yeah. But you can call those people and you can email them as well.
And I think they do quite a few virtual tours of the accommodations now, which is quite cool.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's accommodation. Most of them look very similar. The big decision is whether you want a bathroom or not.
And how close you want to be.
Yeah, how close you want to be.
Because I think some people quite like having a stroll in. They like being a bit closer to some of the sort of like leisure facilities and stuff. Yeah. Where if you're on campus, it's great because you can roll out of bed like you do, and you've got the gym on campus and stuff. But it's all personal preference, isn't it? And it sounds like there's lots of options to pick from, which is good. So, other than that, there's one thing I wanted to touch on before we finish, and I don't think this is something that you've necessarily had experience in. But you were talking about people having a bit of anxiety, making their mum and dads ring for them, and answering or even picking up the telephone can be a bit daunting for some people. And did you know that you could apply through Clearing Now on the website?
No, I had no idea.
Okay, so the last few years we've run this thing on the website. It's called Self-Apply, and it starts from July the 1st. It goes live. And if you go onto our website, aru.ac.uk/clearing, you'll be taken to all the courses that are live and going into clearing as of the 1st of July. And then you can literally click on the course you want to do, click apply, and you can fill everything out online. So I think that will really help those people that do find it nerve-wracking. And you can apply for multiple courses as well. So if you're unsure and you think, I might want to do film, but I might want to do business, you can do both and see if you get into both, then you can have the choice and the option's all yours.
I think that's really good because you've then got quite a lot of time.
Yes.
So I applied really late, so everything was a bit of a last-minute panic, whereas if you've got from the 1st of July, you've got some time to properly have a look through the different courses, even come to the campus. I know there's the drop-in sessions, or if you email. So I've met some other students that wanted to come and do business and HR before. So it's quite nice when you come, if you can't manage to make an open day, you can still talk to a student, you could talk to the course leader. Yes. And I think that's really useful because you still get a real feel for the university and what it's actually going to be like. So it just gives you a little bit more wiggle room. If you can go from the 1st of July, that gives you so much more time.
Because even if it's about, being proactive and having a plan in place, it's not saying that you definitely are going to change your plan. But if you think, there's an option here, it might broaden my horizons, it might be something I want to follow, it might not be something I want to follow. But if you scroll through those options, you never know what door it's going to open. And as you're saying, it's clearly something that can be quite important in people's lives. It's changed yours dramatically, I think. So.
And I know lots of people who didn't apply to UCAS because they thought, oh no, I don't want to go to university. And then they took a bit of time working and thought, I think I might want to go to university, have a bit more freedom for a few years. So it's really good in that way. If you didn't apply in the first place, you can then apply to different places and go and visit them and still kind of get the whole university experience.
Yeah, because there's the July 6th open day on a Saturday. So that will be a good chance for some of these people to visit the campus because, it's a sunny day. There'll probably be some free food floating around.
Yeah, that's the best bit. Popcorn and candy floss.
And, most of the student ambassadors, people like Emma, you'll be there and the academics will be there. Yeah. So it's a really good chance. You can even go and see the accommodation, I think, on open days, can't you? So,
and sometimes there's little taster sessions, so you could have a bit of a feel of what it might be like to actually go to a seminar or a lecture, which is always quite nice.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely good to be proactive and just have a different plan, different ways to approach things. Yeah. Because as you were saying, there's a bit of I don't know. It's good to debunk that myth of clearing being the last chance saloon because you've said you've got people that who applied just because they had worked and actually maybe working life wasn't for them quite yet, and they wanted to try something else, and you changed your mind from one university to another. So there's so many different reasons why people go into clearing. It's not a negative experience at all.
Yeah, I feel like so many people think clearing is just for people who haven't got the grades that they needed, whereas that's not why I came through clearing. I know some of my friends, that's not why they went through clearing either. It just gives you so many more opportunities, and it gives you that extra little bit of time to have more of a think about what you actually might want to do, because I know sometimes you feel a bit pressured into making a decision. The UCAS deadline is there and everyone's like, you need to apply, and you're like, oh. So it just gives you that extra bit of time, and there's so many opportunities out there. So I think clearing can be a really positive thing.
And it totally worked out for you, didn't it?
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about Emma's success story through clearing. Maybe not next time, maybe the time after, we'll see. So we've got Emma with us every week going forward, which is really exciting. So make sure you tune in next time and the times after that. We're going to do a few more podcasts, and it's going to be really good. So thank you for tuning in today. And see you soon.
Bye.